Sometimes the shadows around us aren't just ordinary shadows. They are omens of horrors we've never seen before. In today's video, I will share with you 4 chilling true stories about terrifying experiences from streets, alleys, and even places that seem to be the safest. Get ready, turn off the lights, put on your headphones, and join me as we step into the world of real, scary stories. Story 1. Almost kidnapped. During the day in Dallas, I want to share with you one of the most terrifying moments of my life. This happened not too long ago on a bright sunny morning in Dallas, a place where I always felt confident in my toughness and experience. But right there in broad daylight, I nearly became the victim of a horrifying kidnapping. That day, I was riding my bike to a tobacco shop located a little farther from downtown. The area wasn't the most pleasant, but I knew the route and believed I could protect myself. As I approached an intersection, I noticed an old dirty white van with no identifying markings parked by the side of the road. At first I didn't think much of it, but just seconds later I heard loud piercing voices from 2 men inside the vehicle calling out to me with chilling words, "You'll be the next one." The van wasn't like any ordinary vehicle I had seen. It didn't have any logos or identifiable marks. It was just a rusted machine, its engine roaring like the breath of a predator. The men inside were calling each other, even referring to me as the next prey, and those words felt like a death sentence. A cold shiver ran down my spine. My heart raced, and the blood seemed to freeze in the stillness of that space right in the middle of the day. This feeling wasn't from imagination or unfounded fear. It was a cunning instinct warning me that something was terribly wrong. In just seconds, the van sped toward me, blocking my path and trying to force me into a dark alley. If I hadn't been alert, I might have lost my life. But with an unexpected calmness, I swerved my bike in the opposite direction, quickly escaping the trap. The van backed up, and I noticed a fake window repair service sticker on its side with no contact number or details. I saw the shadows of people moving behind the van, ready to grab me off my bike right there on that busy street. They had meticulously planned to kidnap me in broad daylight, making me realize how danger could be lurking right next to me. Later, when I shared the story with a Mexican friend, she told me that this was a common tactic used by human trafficking rings. That's when I truly realized how close I came to being part of a dark, well-planned scheme. What's even more terrifying is that I had no family here to notice if I went missing. If I had been taken, I might have disappeared from this world without anyone ever knowing. Since that day, I've learned a valuable lesson. No matter how strong or confident you are, the world is always hiding unexpected dangers. And most importantly, always listen to your instincts. They can save your life when you least expect it. Story 2. Lost in the ghost town of Texas. In 2010, I was on a long journey from New Orleans, Louisiana to Eugene, Oregon. I was traveling with my small pit bull in a large U-Haul truck packed with all my belongings, everything I owned. I was 24 years old, had no smartphone, and relied on an old paper map and directions printed from MapQuest. One cold winter night, I was driving through a desolate stretch of road in central Texas. I hadn't seen a town or a sign for miles, and my fuel was running low. Fortunately, a small town appeared ahead, but everything about it felt strange. The town only had a few tiny roads, and I drove around multiple times, unable to find my way back to the highway. I decided to stop at a gas station to ask for directions. The employee, a skinny man with long black hair covering most of his face, looked tired and unfriendly. He coldly pointed me to a winding 17-mile road that would lead me to the highway, even though I could still see the freeway just a short distance from the town. A feeling of unease washed over me as I looked into his eyes, an empty, detached stare like that of a predator waiting in the shadows. I told him the road didn't make sense since I could still see the highway from the town, but he just dismissively waved me off as if I were an annoyance. My heart began to race. I couldn't ignore my instincts any longer. Deciding not to follow his directions, I returned to my truck and broke down in tears, feeling utterly helpless. Just then, an old rusty red pickup truck covered in dirt and rust pulled up next to me. The large man in flannel and muddy boots looked at me with a warm, kind gaze. I quickly asked if he could help me find the highway. He smiled and explained that the secret road the gas station attendant had mentioned was only for locals and led to a desolate area no one wanted to go. He explained that the gas station was owned by a local family notorious for their violent behavior and drug addiction. The attendant was a member of that family and might have had ill intentions when directing me down that road. I felt an overwhelming sense of relief, like I had just been saved from the grip of death. That man from Texas had unknowingly saved my life. That night, as I continued my journey, I couldn't forget the sorrowful yet kind look in the stranger's eyes, a man whose name I would never know, but who would forever remain in my heart as a symbol of survival in the darkest of places. Story 3. The dark night at my grandparents' house. I grew up in a remote rural area in East Texas where my grandparents owned a large piece of land surrounded by dense forests. Visits to their house were always a great joy for me, especially when I could join my friends for camping trips, sitting around the crackling fire and sharing stories. In 2014, I decided to spend a weekend alone at the house, not just to rest but to finish a report for work. I was confident that I could handle any challenges that came my way. My grandfather had carefully explained how to turn on the electricity, the water supply, and reminded me where he kept his Henry .30-30 rifle, a family hunting rifle, just in case I needed it. That evening, the sky was clear with no moon. Instead of carrying the rifle, I brought a sturdy wooden stick, not wanting to risk harming myself while moving around in the darkness. I decided to take a walk around the land, starting with a loop around the boundary, which was about 3 miles. After walking halfway, I decided to shorten the journey by cutting through the thick forest. Even though I was familiar with the area, the darkness and the dense woods forced me to turn on my flashlight. Suddenly, the light illuminated a pile of clothes lying under a bush. I froze when I saw those clothes suddenly leap up and rush quickly into the forest. My heart pounded in my chest, and a wave of fear washed over me. I tried calling out, "Is anyone there? Who's there?" But my voice only echoed in the cold air. I regretted not bringing the rifle, and worse, I had left my phone on the bed inside the house. The figure ran toward the house, and I realized I was completely alone in the pitch-black night, surrounded by fears I had never experienced before. I decided to run back to the house as fast as I could, even though I knew that panicking would only make me more lost. When I reached the front door, my heart stopped as I saw the door slightly ajar. I couldn't tell if I had forgotten to lock it, or if someone had gotten in before me. I grabbed the wooden stick, gently opened the door, and immediately heard blood-curdling screams coming from the living room. The terror surged to an overwhelming level. I couldn't speak, only running upstairs, slamming the door behind me and locking myself in the bathroom. I immediately called 911, my voice trembling as I tried to explain the situation while the screams downstairs echoed throughout the house. The police arrived after 20 minutes, but that time felt endless. When they entered the house, they found a man lying motionless on the living room floor, his head covered in blood, as if he had been violently struck. Later, I learned that he was a homeless man, suffering from schizophrenia, who had likely wandered onto my property and gotten seriously injured. Though the situation ended safely, the experience remained etched in my mind. I realized that loneliness and darkness can make everything far more terrifying than it would seem. I was lucky to escape the nightmare that night, And the next day I still managed to finish the report on time, serving as a reminder that no matter where you are, danger can always be lurking unexpectedly. Story 4. The shadow following me on campus. I'm a young woman, 5'2", with blonde hair, living in the suburbs of Chicago. As a student at the University of Illinois, I often walk to class as both a habit and a way to stay healthy. The longest walk to class is just about 20 minutes. About 2 weeks ago on a Friday morning, I was walking to class for my 11 a.m. lecture. I had one earbud lost in my music and thoughts. Suddenly, an old pickup truck with a construction company logo on the door started driving parallel to me. At first, I didn't think anything of it because there were many construction sites around the campus. But then the truck began slowing down to match my pace. I stopped to let it pass into a parking lot, but the driver stopped too, staring at me through the rearview mirror. He tried to pretend he wasn't looking, but his eyes through the mirror were different, calculating, following my every step. I picked up my pace, and so did he. The alarm bells started going off in my head. This was a dangerous situation, broad daylight in a busy area, yet I was being closely followed by a stranger. I debated whether I should duck into the nearby building to hide or prepare to defend myself with the self-defense skills I had learned. Luckily, a bus came up behind me, honking its horn continuously, forcing the driver of the truck to pull away. I quickly made my way back to the dorm, my heart racing uncontrollably. Once I calmed down, I began researching construction companies in the area, but I couldn't find any company with a logo like the one on the truck that day. I shared the story with my roommate, who advised me to report the incident to campus security. I contacted campus police, and they took the matter very seriously. An officer came to my room to hear all the details. They confirmed that this was a case of stalking and promised to increase patrols to protect students. Even so, the incident still haunts me. I wonder what that man's intentions were, whether I would have been safe if he had caught up with me, or if there was something specific that made me the target. To this day, I still can't explain it, and I'd rather not know the terrifying things that could have happened if I hadn't been lucky enough to escape. Life is full of things that are hard to explain, and sometimes safety is just a fragile shell. The 4 stories today serve as a reminder that we must always stay vigilant no matter where we are. If you've had a scary experience or have a story to share, feel free to leave a comment below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss the next video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next chilling stories.